So what happens is that when you're looking at coffees in the store and stuff, you'll say they'll have blend, the word blend. What that means is that you have two different types of beans or two of the same bean, but they're from different farms. So what that happens is that leads to cross-contamination with molds and bacteria and things like that. And pesticides, you don't know. It's just when you do a single origin, there's just more control over the consistency of the bean and the quality of the bean, right? So what will happen in the coffee industry is, let's take, for example, Kona, which is a Hawaiian coffee. It's super popular, sells for over $50 a pound. What they'll do is they'll say Kona blend. And what it is they take some of the Kona beans and they blend it with an inferior coffee. And they can still sell it for higher price margins because it says Kona on it, right? So you see that a lot in the industry. They'll take higher quality beans and mix it with lower quality beans just for the name.
Supplement companies can do that too. Like the ingredient that's being advertised is just small.
They'll fairy dust it.
Right. Yes. So it's almost the same thing in the coffee industry.
Exactly.
Fairy dusting with the good, expensive ingredient and then adding in a bunch of the other cheaper types of beans. What are some of the other problems with everyday coffee? Like if I were to stop at the gas station on the way to work and, they're all different. I don't know where they're all getting it from. But what are some of the problems with just buying like generic Maxwell House, stopping at Dunkin' Donuts, or just going to the gas station?
So there are two types of coffee, Robusta and Arabica. Arabica is a higher end, but even there, one, if it's a non-organic coffee, it's just being sprayed with pesticides and fungicides and all types of chemicals. Because think about it, it's one of the top 5 cash crops in the world, top 10 cash crops in the world. And in order to keep it a cash crop, that means you have to mass produce it. In order to mass produce it, you have to figure out how to create as much as possible. So you'll cut corners on the health aspect to create quality over quantity, right? Or quantity, in that case, it's quantity over quality.
Right.
So that's one of the big things. And when you drink, it's not like one cup of, non-organic coffee is going to hurt you. But if it's something you're drinking every day, multiple times a day, think about that bioaccumulation effect that happens in your body. And it's not just with coffee, it's with anything, right? So that's why you really want to focus on, that's why clean is one of our ethos, right? You want to make sure that what you're eating and drinking is as clean as possible.
Yeah. And when we hear the word toxic, some people think it's poisonous, like they're going to take one drink and die. It's like, no, like there's toxic buildup over time that can harm your health. Doesn't mean having one cup, like you said, is a horrible thing to do. So, but you did say the organic coffee, those are not, they don't have the pesticide and the other things. What are the problems with some of those?
So one, you always hear that it just doesn't taste as good, organic. Two, there are still some pesticides that can slide through that are allowed to be on organic beans. And that's the reason why we third-party test to make sure that, all of our beans, even though they're organic, are still flying under the limits of being super duper clean, right? So we've created a process, what we call Trust Pure. It's like a, 15-point process of what we run our beans through. So it needs to be single origin. It needs to be, organic or certified organic. It needs to, be third-party tested, shade grown, elevation green. We got a list. And then we just created that as a process to, any beans that we use, we run through that.
And you said, what is shade and elevation? How is that helpful?
So when most coffee now is basically they clear out a rainforest and put it all in the sun, right? Because when you sun grow coffee, it speeds up the growth cycle, which makes the coffee more bitter and doesn't give it fully the time to mature to get all the antioxidants. Because think about when you grow something, if you allow something to grow to maturity, you get more of the nutrients involved in that process, right? So what happens is that because it's, a cash crop, they try to cut as many corners as possible to get more quantity over the quality.
Seems to just be a quantity quality issue going on overall. where do you source yours from? Did you say Nicaragua?
Yeah. That's our primary place.